Good morning, Monroe County. This is Tom Clements with Billy Wetzel and Brad Chandler. This is our inaugural first podcast ever. So bear with us. We're not experts at this. We're just local guys talking about local topics here in the Monroe County area. So our guest, like I said, today is Brad Chandler. He is with Property Peddlers, which is a land auction, online auction system. He deals in farm ground, any big rental or properties for sale in our area and out of our area. I think he goes down as far as Sparta, but he deals a lot in Monroe County and the issues around. And I'm going to let him fill me in if I totally got that completely wrong. He'll be able to correct me because I don't know everything. And like I said, my cohorts today are Willie Wetzel, WJW Services, who's a handyman guy, and our tech guy is my son, Gavin Clements.
Yo.
So I'll go ahead and let Brad kind of introduce himself today. Oh yeah, I even forgot to talk about our topic. My goodness. So our topic today concerning Monroe County, and I believe it's the highest and most hot topic in the area, is the solar farm that is being proposed in the area. I know there's a meeting coming up. I think Willie's got the details on that. I'll let him talk about it, but the pros and cons. And we're not for it. We're not against it. We just listen to our community and we just hear the questions, hear the arguments, and we want to dispel some of those rumors, truth, falsehoods in our own opinions. None of us have a vested interest in the project going out there. We just have a vested interest in our community, and we're trying to get people who know more than us here to talk and to answer some questions. So if you love us, great. If you hate us, fine. Just don't send us angry mail. We're just guys just sitting around talking at a table. So Brad, you'd like to go ahead and say anything or introduce yourself?
So yeah, I can introduce myself. So basically, it is Brad Chandler with Property Peddler. We've got offices. The offices are actually in Hector, Redbud, and Sparta. As far as the area that we cover, we basically cover the southern portion of the state. As far as whenever we get into the auctions and the land sales, we do a lot of work in about a 7-county area, but we actually just sold some ground in Peoria County this year. So depending on where it is, and a lot of people will say like our expertise and our experience on actually doing the auction portions of it with the land.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a couple of them coming up here in the future. Just had one Tuesday night. So as far as the topic there with the solars, it's different all throughout the state. So I can shed some light on what it is in different counties and different things to that effect versus just the Monroe County.
Well, dealing with the people you deal with, the farm communities, the people who really just does affect in the rural areas, what do you think the community's biggest misconception of the solar project that's going out, the rumors that are going around? What are the biggest falsehoods or truths to what you hear around in the community?
Well, so basically, you can't really say the falsehoods or truths. So whenever you run into the solar farms, the biggest thing that everybody brings up and you have to keep in mind is that in January of 2023, our Governor Pritzker signed into effect that is basically a law that blocks counties from blocking solar farms. Okay, or windows. So it is renewable energy. The state decided this was the path they were going to be able to make their goal of 100% energy efficient in 2050. So that is the biggest reason that Illinois and the Illinois solar is coming into Illinois so much is because they are wanted, they're invited. The state of Illinois is giving incentives for those people. Or for those solar farms and wind farms, but that's the biggest thing that changed. So as of in 2023, there were 13 counties in the state that had completely blocked solar farms.
Completely blocked.
No way, Jose. We're not gonna have solar in our county.
Okay, now
13 counties out of the 102 counties in Illinois that completely blocked it.
Right.
So the law that passed was actually added to a sports rehabilitation bill.
Okay.
And that is how it got passed. We didn't even, that people didn't even know it was coming.
So again, they snuck it in.
They stuck that in, and that took away the county's right to override the state's rules.
Wow.
Was Monroe County one of those 13 before? Do we know?
I do not know that Monroe County was one of the 13. I do not believe it was one of the 13. And where Monroe County is different than a lot of the counties is that basically Monroe County, this is just now hitting the news for Monroe County. That other counties have been dealing with this now for 3 to 5 years, as far as they go. One of the biggest reasons that I see that is that there's so much in Monroe County that is Monroe County Electric through the co-op. So solar is not going to go on the co-op lines because the co-op is actually a user of power. So they're a buyer. Okay. So Ameren is a provider. So that is where, so in Illinois, you either got to be an Ameren or you've got to be in up north, there's a few different major electrical companies up there. So if you're not running those lines and your ground is not close to those lines or those transformers, you're really not on the radar.
Okay. Yeah, and this isn't this project proposed in Monroe County isn't a local farmer wanting to put up a small grid to help him subsidize ground that couldn't grow crops. This is an industrial, commercial, large corporation coming in and wanting to lease the ground for the rights to put up solar. I guess not the rights, but yeah, the rights to do it.
It's the rights to do it.
So it's not, to me, I don't know. When I hear this, when I first heard about this, and you guys might have heard or got a different opinion of it, I always thought, okay, it's this guy's land. He can do whatever the heck he wants to on that land. It's none of my business. And the more I kind of dived into it, and I'm sure everyone who's even involved with this have watched the horror stories or the horror videos on YouTube of how this awful company came in and the farm ground next to him is unusable. It's not always the case, but it seems that's the ones that make the news, are the worst case scenarios, just like everything else. And I feel that there is responsible ways to do it, but it's up to the county to decide whether they can. It's not really the landowner or the people around it. Am I getting that right? Or am I totally? This is what I'm getting the vibe from the bars, the restaurants, and everyone bitching each other and giggling. This is the shit I hear, and I'm like, I don't really know that much, and it's not near me, so I don't know if I need to care about it.
Yeah, so basically, whenever you look at the solar, and as this, we're just going to have conversation and bring people up to speed. Is that so basically the solar is now just like say coming to Monroe County in the last few years, but if you look at it in Randolph County, Washington County, St. Clair County, as you drive up 159, you'll see the solar fields on both sides of the roads before you get into Belleville. So that those are growing, and I don't know if you guys have been around Sparta right now. Is basically there's going to be a solar field that runs from Tilden T to the town of Eden. That's going to be there. If you go to Coulterville, you go north out of Coulterville towards Oakdale, there's already about 600 acres there that's covered, but that is now slated to go from basically the edge of town all the way to Swanwick. So that is where that solar field.
How many acres? Guessing that.
So basically 3 years ago, I was giving my projections. If you drew a circle around the city of Sparta for the 25-mile radius, my projections 3 years ago was about 8,000 to 10,000 acres that were going to go in solar fields. Right now, with the new proposed that are now south of Sparta, is that I really think that we're going to be closer to that 10 to 15,000 acres between Randolph and Perry County. Because once you get to Pinckneyville, now you have the next solar farms that are Pinckneyville. That's going to be
massive.
That's going to be off of 127. We've got the solar farm at St. Laborie, which St. Laborie started out at 1,200 acres, then went to 1,800 acres, and now it's still growing. So that's Bee Hollow as far as that is what's going on there. So whenever we look at it and whenever we talk about this in Monroe County is fortunate that they're behind the 8 ball here because all these other communities have already been dealing with this.
Okay.
So the conversation that you had or you brought up there about it's their land, they should be able to do what they want. That is an interesting concept. Not saying that it's not correct, but whenever you really look at it, is the county has regulated what that farmer can do with his land, or that landowner, you can say farmer, what that landowner can do with their land since 1993, whenever they decided that you couldn't sell off an acre to build a house, or you can't take 5 acres off the road fringe and make 4 or 5 acre lots and sell them. The county zoning says you can't do that.
Yeah, and anyone in Monroe County knows that was a huge deal at the time.
And everybody in Monroe County knows that.
They lost their shit over that.
So basically the comment is that, so now since solar's involved, or wind is involved, or energy is involved, that the farmer should have the right to do, or the landowner should have the right to do with what they want. Well, they've not lifted any zoning. Nothing else has changed, because besides the state stepping in and saying that you are not going to block solars, state has also stepped in and said, okay, this is the way it will be taxed. So that is one of those things that the proponents of solar will say all of the tax revenue comes into the schools. That is what they'll say, and it is a lot different in tax revenue. Because whenever you look at price per acre on a tillable acre of farm ground in Monroe County, average somewhere between just say $18 to $30 an acre.
Yeah.
That's your yearly tax. Okay. The way that the state has set it into place is the state now regulates the value. The state regulates how much the value of the project is. So basically, they are taking the megawatts produced per year, and that is the size. Wow. So whether that's 10, 15, whatever that size has a scale that says that if this megawatt production is between, just say 3 and 5, the value of is this. If it's between 5 and 10, the value is this.
So it's scalable.
It's scalable, okay. But it's also now commercial. Okay, so that
the property is zoned commercial.
It's not rezoned; it's taxed, because taxes are in usage.
See, that's a big one I've heard around town too. It's like, this is going to be commercial property now, not farm.
So taxes. So a property can only be taxed by the current use. Okay, so that gets us into a different podcast.
Yeah, it does. I'll go there.
But basically, though, what we're talking about, though, it could be that it's, instead of the $25, $30 an acre, it's going to be $500 an acre.
Holy cow!
For the tax rate.
And if it's worded right, I mean, we all remember the lottery's going to pay for the schools. You won't ever that should never happen. It's not the same scenario, because I know that's another thing. People are like, yeah, right, it's going to schools. Sure.
So it is as part of the standard tax bill. Okay, so the same percentage that the schools get today will be the same percentage of the total tax bill.
All right. It just changes the rate in which it's taxed.
It changes the value. It doesn't change the rate, because the county gets to apply their own rate. So every county has their own tax rate. So basically, the government, or the state of Illinois, taxes the value. The county applies the current rate. Okay, so it gets
that definitely. And if you didn't catch any of that stuff, you can just rewind, guys, and listen to that 2 or 3 more times. Because
the other part of this, the regulations of how this is the solar company has to pay the taxes.
All right.
Okay. So
that's interesting.
So it's not the landowner that's responsible for the taxes anymore. It is the solar company.
So the landowner gets the lease benefits, the cash, whatever that is, agreed upon. Plus he gets the tax.
And he doesn't have to pay the taxes.
Is that it? Whether he puts the solar on it or not, does he still get that advantage? Well, I guess it's taxed at the normal rate, even if it's the lease of the option. I mean, here's different. They're going to get at least if they put it there. But some places are just leasing the ground just to hang on to it for the right to possibly do it.
So
that's a different animal.
That's basically retaining the right. Okay.
Like mineral rights.
It's not mineral rights. Mineral rights transfer. I mean, basically traveling up the land until they're settled. Okay, that lease is going to be for a 1-year option, and what it really is an option to lease. Okay, so that's really what we're talking about.
Okay.
So for those people that have the ground and they have it under an option to lease, they are going to get paid for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that option is. They still get to continue to farm the ground or do with it what they want until the product, the actual production goes into place. Now, they at that point in time, they're not paying the taxes. The taxes are not going in until they actually build the process, build the solar plant.
Well, for all our listeners out there is another guy here. His name is Willie Wetzel. He's just been super quiet. This is a new experience.
I'm just taking it all in. But that's the point.
And Willie actually has a friend that does have property that they have put a solar farm onto, and I don't know too much about it, so I'm going to let Willie tell you about that and give that kind of one-on-one response. Now, granted, this is one person's perspective talking to another person, friend to friend, and that's really what we're trying to do here. Is just the friendly chat. These are not facts. Granted, there's always the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, but this is Willie's personal experience. So, Willie, what's your buddy tell?
This is so I have a friend of mine that previously worked with from Southern Illinois or Southern Indiana, which is used to be a heavy coal mine area. I'd say he's west of Evansville, anyways. Don't want to reveal too much for him. There's some other legalities that are going on, but he is one of many people in that county that had a very negative experience with a solar farm that went in. I reached out to him just because I knew there was some bad things that happened, and he had more or less. I wanted to get his, I guess it would be unbiased opinion about it, which is hard for him. But he said that there was a lot of issues with just the contractors. So the solar farm company was obviously an investment group that had proposed the plan. The county approved it, and then they received contractors from Texas, is what he had told me, which doesn't seem like a big deal or anything, but
it's not. And so basically the contractors that the solar companies are using, they are from all over the United States. The one that's actually now there, and they're all different. I'm going to tell you, they're all different levels. Because you look at it as you've got, for example, the one I'm talking about from Sparta to Eden, that's 3 different contractors. That's 3 different companies that are building that whole solar project. It's not even one company that's going through the whole thing. So the one that's out there right now is actually McCarthy, which are union laborers, everything's getting done on that particular field union. The one that got started building, those contractors were out of Texas. As far as where those go. So absolutely, as far as knowing who the contractors are going to be, that is something that has to be discussed between the community and the builder or the proponent of the actual solar farm. Those are discussions that they will normally answer. They will normally answer where is the owner. Okay, who owns this company? Who is the owner? Who's doing this project? Because what you'll find is that many times it's not even a United States company that is doing the project.
You gotta be kidding me.
I am not kidding you whatsoever. So basically, I just sat into a city hall or watched a city hall meeting the other day. Proposal that's going in. The parent company is out of Germany. They're a large, basically energy provider in Germany. The majority of these, I should say the majority,
right.
A lot of these solar fields and these solar companies are foreign owned. So it really brings up that question, and I just want to throw this up. So right now, the political question is that should China be able to buy farm ground, or should the adversary be able to buy farm ground?
That is a huge topic.
So everybody's talking about, we're going to put a stop to this. So the difference is that, you may not be able to own it, but you lease it for 50 years. And is there much difference? But that is whenever you really get into this, is that there's a lot of these companies that are doing this, they're not even owned by a United States.
And by association, not regulated by our laws unless they are operating with a home base in the United States. If they're operating in another country, the legality of that could be a little dicey for them.
And now that's where this gets even deeper.
That I have no clue about anything on that point.
That's right. That's where this situation in Indiana got deeper, was that so the contractor was out of Texas, which, like I said, shouldn't be a big deal. Well, they're in the bottom grounds, and they were digging trenches to run all the electrical wire, and the contractor couldn't understand why they kept filling with water. And so they didn't know what they were, they just were appalled. And so like that is another, having a local contractor or somebody that just is educated about the territory is where they had a huge issue. And as well, I mean, water and electricity don't mix, so I'm sure that'll be a future interesting thing.
It will be, and as you look at this, and then like I said, I'm just not gonna, hopefully I don't get too far off of it. So basically, as you bring that up, the trenches, so basically the main connections of the wires are trenched, normally 5 to 7 feet deep, is where they trench them. And then basically, what happens is that on the cleanup proposals, because this all goes into the whole scope of this, is that cleanup proposal is normally anything 4 foot below the ground or above gets removed. Anything below 4 feet stays.
Is that because it won't interfere if you want to transition it back into farming, or
that is what somebody has
just
decided?
The science of it, and said this is it.
So basically, they don't have to go back and redo all of it. They just they get to abandon it.
Other than taking out the stuff that's above ground.
Other than taking out the pilings or anything that is above the 4 feet, okay, that they're responsible to remove per standards. Okay, so that's why they'll put the depth in there. So normally in that 5 to 7 feet, as far as where they'll bury the majority of their trunk lines and things to that effect.
Yeah.
Well, so, and then the next, I forgot where we were going, but the next thing was with that water, they started pumping it. And so then they decided to start, he has a YouTube video on this, but they pumped what he called was, I think it was like 1,000 gallons, I'd say every 15 minutes for sure. And so they would just take it from the trenches and take it to the other corner of the solar field and just dump it. And well, all that water washed all the silt out from underneath the solar panels they had already built and pushed all of that into his farm. So all of his freshly planted beans were all just slightly covered. I mean,
so we got free topsoil, but it destroyed the crop.
Destroyed the crop. Yeah. So it's just that they just created an entire mess, which would lead to another. I guess the biggest thing that I would see learning from his conversation is the landowners that would have really the major negative effect of this solar farm going in, and would be the people who are riding around that farm and the highway access or the county road with all the trucks. I mean, there's, if Tom lives in town and I live out in Hecker, and you live out in Hecker too, so we're not going to be affected by it, but the individuals that are nearby is where he's seen the most damage from a solar farm.
Yeah, it sounds like, Brad, I never really thought of it that way. It's not really, it is the company who's building and maintaining the solar arrays that are actually doing the lease. It is their moral right to keep everything clean and good. But it's more, in my opinion, guys, nobody send me a bunch of hate mail, but it's on the landowner's responsibility to make sure that the contract is stated in a way that gives them a little bit of power and a little bit of control of how it's done.
There is none.
There is none.
There is none. There is none. There is not a thing that the landowner can do if it is not done or maintained to the agreements now.
Even if it's in the written lease.
So the thing about it, so you got those leases are written by attorneys for both sides.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the county has some control. Okay. The landowner themselves really are giving up access to their ground. Okay. They can't just go out and walk through that solar field. That is not their permission any longer. Okay. That is not there.
It's almost as if you were to lease a lot in town and do a commercial build to suit kind of situation.
Yes. So, but the county, so there are requirements. So basically, whenever the state of Illinois passed the law that says that the counties cannot block them, the counties are allowed to basically apply their own setback rules, their own scenic curtains, their own maintenance requirements. They can apply their own permitting fees. Things to that effect.
Just like every other permit process and building anything.
Yes.
Okay.
But there also the part of this is that, so most of the people that are local is that what a lot of the people don't understand is what it takes to actually have the vegetation that they propose. Okay, they all plant the trees die within the year because nobody waters them. Okay, they have the grasses underneath the solar panels. Except over by Coderville. Yes, they had a contractor mow it for the first 2 years, figured out, I don't know why they stopped, but now they haven't mowed it for another 2 years.
Wow.
Okay, so it is one of those things but the counties have rules. They could actually, if they actually applied and enforced their own rules, they could do a better job in most cases of making these less of eyesores.
So that's informative to me.
So that falls in onto the county part of this also. The other thing that is part of that law, the ruling or the law, actually it's a law, is that basically that the county, so that whenever they build the project, there is funds or a bond that gets put up for the construction or the removal of the solar field or windmill. They're both of them are same kind of requirements. And don't let me, as those are out there listening, same thing. If I say solar, I am talking about
any renewable
energy. So basically, they have to put up a bond. They have to put up something for that removal. Well, that gets to be reevaluated after 5 years. So the county can come back and say, okay, expenses have went up by this much, whatever that is, and they can set a new bond, a new requirement for the removal. So that is after 5 years. Again, who at the county is watching this, who's got it on their timer, saying, okay, this needs to be reviewed. Okay, so those are some things that come into this. The other thing that comes into this also is that the cities have some say if it's within a mile and a half of their boundaries.
I think this
particular one is within the mile and a half of the city limits. So basically, the state doesn't necessarily override. They override the county and say that you can't not allow them. But if it falls in the path of the city or the city's things, there are definitely different discussions on where that goes because of limiting growth. So there's already multiple local towns in Southern Illinois that will not now be able to grow, even if they wanted to, because the solar has now surrounded the town.
Speaking of that, going down another, I guess, rabbit hole, but the biggest question is the appraisal value of the land. Even the farms around it. Have you seen anything? I guess any major effects or changes in Southern Illinois whenever there has been a solar farm in place?
So let's first off say that right now it is not law that you have to disclose that a solar farm is coming. Yes. So that has not been addressed. So we have seen properties that are adversely affected because of the solar fields on the values. We have seen properties that have been paid by the solar companies far a difference in value. We've even ran into one time where the people got paid and then didn't disclose it and didn't lose the value.
Wow.
So that was an interesting.
That could get it.
So that's a whole other can of worms. But what we're seeing is that so basically, I've not seen anything that farm ground prices still being used as farm ground for next to a solar. I've not seen that necessarily change. If you talk to any of the state or any of the solar contractors that are building these, is that there is no data from the state that the state has put out that the prices have changed. All of them will tell you the same thing. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. But as a realtor, I'm looking at this. There's no question that basically that people are not wanting to be surrounded by solar. That it's just not. So there's no question that there's an effect. There has been no study that says this is how much that effect.
Yeah.
So now, like I say, I guess I was looking at it the other way. I said, if you got a solar field, you only got to fence one side of your yard because the other three's already.
That's an optimist to you for sure.
You never got to worry about a lot of neighbor. You don't have to worry about trespassing.
No.
I don't know.
Just listen to the motors tilt.
For everybody listening out there, again, we are not, I am not an expert at this. I own a cleaning company. Willie's not an expert at this. He owns a remodeling company. That's why we have Brad, and he has no vested interest in it, but he experiences going through with other people around his town and around the country and the knowledge that he needs, because he's going to be dealing with this more and more. And the renewables, they're not going away. The government really feels like they need it, and it's up to the community to be informed and police their own areas. And that's we're just trying to inform everybody here, guys. So
that's a big key whenever this really comes into this. Is that that as far as the biggest things that we see is that as you travel around, is that the people get together, they oppose it, but what they don't do is enforce their commissioners to enforce the rules. Okay, so that's the thing about this is that what the commissioners and what the community really need to do, because one is in reality, you cannot block it. Okay, there's no but the difference is that you can capitalize on it, for lack of a better word, on there.
For the county.
So, for the county. As far as where those are, the permitting process, I know of a county that basically charges $249,000 for the permit.
wow.
Okay.
So it's not so much on.
That's insane.
So all those people who are really
not, because the issue is that now somebody's got to regulate this. Somebody's
got to keep up with it.
Somebody's got to keep up with this. So whenever you look at this, okay, what that is going to do is that's a whole nother.
Well, it's another position.
A whole other either position or part of a position.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's what counties aren't really paying attention to here is saying, okay, yeah, my fee of my $300 or my $600 that we do to be able to build a shed, okay, is a totally different process than saying, okay, that somebody's now going to have to regulate this. We're going to have to employ or be able to subcontract that in 5 years that somebody's going to be able to analyze what the removal costs of this are. Okay, so those are all fees and the cost that they don't come into.
Yeah. All right. So, like, even your buddy Willie, then it sounds like the frustration and maybe a little bit of the anger should have been maybe focused more at the local county government versus the actual. I mean, granted, the contractors are.
Correct. And
the video. It's freaking awful, but worst case scenario video. And
correct.
He was mad at the construction people, but it sounds like what you're saying, Brad. Hardly there, but to stay on your local officials and make sure that they stay on it and capitalize on it. Because if it's coming and it doesn't sound like you can stop it, you might as well make the most money out of you can, because you're going to be dealing with this shit long after it's gone. Am I getting that wrong? Am I putting words in your mouth, or am I getting it kind of right?
No, it's one of those, you're getting it kind of right. It's one of those things that it needs to fit up, it needs to be able to fit in with the county's plan, the city's plan, and the future plan. Because whenever you look at this, is that most of these leases are either 30 years with 4 5-year options or 40 years with 2 5-year options. So basically most of these leases are 50 years. Okay, that's 2 generations. Whenever that farm comes out of solar after 50 years, that's 2 generations. A lot of these farms will never go back to a family farm. They will only ever be commercial or go to a commercial farmer, because in 50 years, that family doesn't even know how to farm anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let alone have the equipment.
So let alone, so basically all they have is they have an income stream. So at that point in time, whenever the 50 years comes out, it's nothing more than a stock or a bond or an asset. It's nothing to them besides income. So at that point in time, either who knows where it's going to be at, but that family farm that used to be a family farm will not. It'll either be sold to a corporation by then, or it'll be sold to a large farmer, or who knows, it might be green for 50 years.
And that is a very, very, right now, thing. Very good point. And I just did a little bit of Googling and research, guys. I'm not an expert on this shit, but there's one alternative that they're looking into, and they do actually have in place in a lot of places. It's called agrovoltaic solar systems versus your photovoltaic system. Photovoltaic meaning, and I probably get a lot of these science words wrong, so don't yell at me, guys. is on the ground. It's the pole mounted right there on the ground. You can't grow anything else under it, around it. It's solar. The agrivoltaic systems are actually built on a scaffolding system with legs on a platform, like a covered porch kind of deal, which allows between 10 and 20 feet below that. Like, you're not going to get a combine into there and start doing corn, but you could do your feed crops. Parking lot, but this is more of an agricultural thing because that's a whole different area.
Yeah, true.
But you could have a shaded area for the animals. You can have small vegetable gardens, different kinds of styles of farming, not at the rate in which you're doing corn, wheat, soybeans. And I am not a farmer whatsoever, but it's a different type of system. So when it does come out, it can still be reverted back into, and it can be used while the solar is there. Like I said, it's a pretty new concept, and there are test facilities out there. Anyone interested, look up agrovoltaic solar systems. And I'm not pro for or against, but I know it's coming. You can drive up north and go through the windmill farms up there, and it is a bird slaughter area, but they're there. They ain't going nowhere until they fall down or they shut them down. So just a little bit different look at that kind of stuff. So I know what you're saying. 50 years, like you said, the skills aren't there. The people aren't there. The infrastructure's out there. They just gave up and did something else, but they're making enough money off of it. And it's sad to see it. And another kind of thing that I thought of too is there's smaller farmers that are not smaller, landowners that could take some of their least producing ground. Instead of taking the entire chunk of great producing ground and putting solar on it, they could take some of their least producing ground, put a smaller system on it, and have kind of a buffer zone for if it's a shitty crop year. They got that kind of little thing. That's another way to look at it and go about it. And that's, like I said, just my opinion. I don't know if those are viable in our area. It's not exactly it's not even close to what we're talking about happening right now in Monroe County, but there are other ways, in my opinion, to do it that are a little bit more responsible to be able to use land back. Thoughts on that, Jason? Or Brad? Jason's his brother, by the way.
So basically, it all comes down to the cost of the development of the actual field. So that is the difference. I mean, so the most of the fields are going into the best ground because it is the flattest. It is the easiest to actually
run a contractor across.
Actually, it's less contractor cost to be able to set it up. I mean, so that's one of those that you've seen signs. I mean, so basically, the shooting complex is just at $5,000 of 5,000 acres of reclaimed strip mine ground.
Yeah,
everybody says, I mean, use the strip mine ground. Yes, it makes sense, but it's not cost effective because so they won't do it.
Okay. I wondered about that too.
So that is why. So basically, if they go to drive a pile, because the piles are driven, they're not set in concrete. That most of these fields are set on. So basically, it's a matter of that they drive an I-beam looking thing
or screw pile, whatever.
So they drive the pile. So whenever they come in to retract it, as the conversations go, as they pull it, there's no concrete in the ground. That's just what it is. Now, if you get over by, let's see here, Percy, they actually have built solars over there over rolling terrain with an elevation change of close to 30 feet.
Wow.
That they've actually taken the rougher ground. And so next to the hunt club is where it is. And but I have now seen that. And so they have done some rougher ground to be able to do that.
And that's what I think is a shame, is to take amazing farm ground, and some of it's amazing. Like you can grow anything in that field.
Whatever you get amazing. So you go to Central Illinois right now. There's a project that's going up there that is supposed to. They're working on it. It's 10,000 acres contiguous. Is what they're putting together.
If you don't know how big 10,000 acres, guys, put that into Google and into miles form, and you'll be blown away at the amount of land that is.
So that is what they're doing. So it's not just Monroe County. This is all over the entire state, and it's all over the entire country.
Yep.
We deal with other land agents in different states, and they're dealing with the same as we are. I shouldn't say it's the same. Illinois is one of the worst because of the state incentives that are on top of the federal incentives to be able to, and Illinois wants it.
Yeah,
so that's the thing about it. The other thing that we need to kind of hit on a little bit here is that so as some of those people that are actually out there potentially listening, is that they are now buying some land. So the companies are not just leasing; they are actually purchasing.
That gets back into the foreign corporation kind of thing.
It depends.
If
It does.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they want a 4-year contract. They want a 4-year option, is what they want. So if they want that 4-year option now, the best that I know of is cutting that option to 2 years that we've dealt with. So so that is something that if people are out there and have questions about, okay, that's what a solar company wants to purchase your land, because there's other ones that are that way and said, okay, I'm not going to deal with the lease. I don't want any liability. I don't want any long term. Just pay me the money and I'll go reinvest it in something else. So there are some people that are out there doing that, and there are some lease companies that are actually purchasing the ground.
Wow, that's yeah. Well, guys, I think that's great for our first podcast there. We got a lot of information. Like I said, we didn't answer every question. We're just trying to make our community more knowledgeable on the things that we hear, try to get people in here that can know more about it than us. Let's see. Oh, hell, the name of our podcast is Monroe County. The hell did we come up with, Willie?
Monroe County Under the Scope.
Under the Scope, that's what it is. So if you dig what we're laying down, if we touch the core, you want to know more about our community. We have no idea who our next guest is going to be. We're stoked that Brad Chandler got to be our first inaugural guest because this is the hot topic in our town. We don't know everything. We're not the experts. We're not law. Don't call and yell at us because we got something wrong. We're bound to. This is just our opinion on this subject. For us sitting around having a conversation. Willie, you got anything to add to that?
Not really. I know we've talked with Gavin, and our plan is to release the first podcast on Spotify and YouTube underneath the name Monroe County Under the Scope. And we would appreciate it if anybody knows of any other controversial topics or anything that you feel the public of Monroe County doesn't know enough information about. We'd be happy to discuss it and talk about it in the future.
Thanks. How about you, Gavin? You've been a quiet little sound engineer over there. But
I've just been listening to the conversation. I like to hear Brad talk about it more, honestly. Like you know a lot about this topic for sure.
We've been there's a lot of research. This topic was near and dear to my wife's heart, and so it is one of those things that we've done our research to understand. Whenever it comes down to be able to help clients on both sides of it, to understand the ins and outs.
No. You heard it. Brad Chandler, Property Peddlers. He's been working in Monroe County and the surrounding counties and surrounding states for a long time. Him and his wife run a local company based out of Florida. But if you need any help, you got any more questions, maybe not about the solar, but with anything you got land for sale, you don't know what to do with, you got a family farm, whatever it is, give him a call. He'll happy to talk. If he can help, he will. If he can't help, I'm sure I'll point you in a different direction. Really, when was that? There is a meeting.
Oh, yeah. So
that's what we're doing. It.
Yeah.
You want to give them that information before we close out, Willie?
The Monroe County Solar Farm meeting, as it stands today, is scheduled for August 7th at 7:30 at the courthouse. They had rescheduled it a couple times, so hopefully this one does not get rescheduled too. And then after that, they have a follow-in meeting August 25th. So if you want to hear what the county is doing, it is something you should definitely attend.
Well, thank you, Monroe County. Stay informed, stay armed, and keep vigilant. That's the only way we all kind of survive together. So, like Willie said, you got some suggestions, shoot us an email or stop us on the farm or stop us at the bar, whatever you see us at, and shoot us some shit. Don't yell at us, though. We're just local guys.
Probably won't go over well.
Yeah, it probably won't go over well, especially Gavin. He's a pretty big dude. So, all right, Monroe County. Thank you, Brad, for being our first guest. We'll give you the details when this shoots out, and appreciate you being there. Appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, guys.